every year with a team, you have to always begin again. So it's always starting over, redefining reality, redefining our course. Where can we go? So it's sort of a nebulous thing. It's not always a consistent path. At the end of a year, you have to restart.
Today, I'm joined by a guy who defines what it means to lead with humility and purpose. Steve Gomez has been at the helm of LCU women's basketball for over 20 years, and while the national championships are impressive, it's the way he invests in people that really stands out. In this conversation, we dive into the unique dynamics of coaching women, what it means to lead with consistency, and how keeping an eternal perspective reshapes not just how we lead, but how we live. Coach Gomez has a quiet wisdom that hits you right where you need it. So buckle up. This one is going to be a conversation you'll want to lean into. All right, welcome back to Leading Lubbock. Today I get the privilege of sitting down with Steve Gomez. Steve, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, certainly. Obviously, Ruben, you've done great things in the few years here in business. But doing this podcast, I'm glad I heard about it. Now I'm on it, so I guess I'm going to have to listen to it my own and see what I do.
Yeah, you have to listen back here in a few weeks and take a listen to it. But Steve, just so people get to know you a little bit, you are the women's basketball coach over at LCU. So how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, so been at LCU for 23 years. This is my 23rd year coming up, coaching women's basketball. I coached high school boys for 15 years before that, so I had an opportunity to work at Monterey High School for 8 years, and then 7 years at Lubbock Cooper, back when it was a small country school, which now it's a huge school.
Yeah, but, not country anymore.
No, so I did boys 15 years, which was a neat time in my coaching profession, and then I got to do a women's basketball, which was a neat change. So I've done that 23 years now. I really love it.
Is there anything unique about women's basketball when you put it in contrast to what you were doing before that?
Yeah, I never would have thought, going into coaching, I coach boys, I thought I'd always coach males. But just to have that opportunity, I guess what I sort of would boil it down to this. I've said this a number of times. In order to coach, girls need to feel good to play good, and boys need to play good to feel good. And so there's so much more of the emotional attachment in coaching females, and in guys, it's more just about the performance.
Well, that's good. I'm wondering if you can even apply that. How many kids do you have?
Yeah,
you're
two
married,
boys. Yeah,
right?
I'm married. Yeah, for 35 years of marriage, and I have two boys. One was my assistant coach, so that's been fun to have.
Really?
Yes,
oh,
sir.
That's so neat. Okay, so you didn't have the opportunity to raise any girls. So my next question was going to be, how does that play out in parenting? Do you think there could be an application to somebody who has boys and girls in the household?
Yeah, just that the communication needed. I'm still, after 23 years, still learning how to effectively communicate with these female, college-age kids. My wife helps a lot. My female assistant, Casey Wilson, is tremendous. That one bit of advice I would say: if you're going to coach females and you're a male, get a female assistant, because a lot of times she's the interpreter, or not really realizing how we say things might affect more what we're actually saying, and so just those bits of the communication styles are a little different. So it's been awesome, though, to have that experience. It's helped me hopefully become a better father, a better grandfather eventually. But just dealing with the females has been wonderful. I don't think I'd ever go back to coaching guys.
Yeah. We're probably too big of a headache. They're just knuckleheads.
And they're awesome. Again, there's a blessing in each of them.
Yeah.
But I've settled in this, and that's my routine now, so I really do love it.
Yeah. So you've been in Lubbock for a little while then?
Yes, sir. I came to Lubbock in 1984 after going to high school in Arlington, and came to Lubbock Christian University. Back then it was Lubbock Christian College. Played basketball, and my sister was here in town. She was married to a guy here from Lubbock, and so Lubbock was an attractive place because of family. But came to school, always thinking, man, after 4 years, I'm going back to the Metroplex. But sure enough, after 4 years in college, you love Lubbock. It just gets in your blood, and really haven't ever thought about wanting to leave at all.
No, my story is very similar. I came here in 2005 to go to school. Mm-hmm. Reason I came here was the architecture program. So Texas Tech has a great one, and had heard about it. So I came to visit, and I told my mom and dad, "Hey guys, I'll come here. It's not too far from home, but I'm out." after 4 years. Same thing. And I wanted to get to the mountains or someplace cooler, someplace with scenery. And here I am. And roots so deep. A podcast called Leading Lubbock, right?
Yeah,
so
very good.
it is. It's really ingrained in my wife and I both. So
You can
it's a
still
great
get to
place
the mountains.
be.
I mean, 2 or 3 hours, you can be there.
Yeah, and the trade-off for the people, right? You just got such a good community.
It's just a wonderful place. People don't understand. I mean, even we get recruits from all over, the state and across different states. And when they get to Lubbock, there's something different. We always say if we can just get people to visit, just get them to campus, get them to the community, they're going to find out how great it is. And so that's a key for us always in recruiting is get them to Lubbock.
So you're seeing that even in the visit, they notice something different about where we're at.
Certainly, if we can get them in town where they have a day, a night, a day where they're out in restaurants, they're at hotels, they're wherever. It's got a neat feel about it.
How cool.
Lubbock is just really neat, and then our just LCU itself on the campus is wonderful. But yeah, it's different.
Yeah,
and it's very special.
Yeah, that's neat that even in such a short span that you can pick up on something. So that says a lot to the people and to the businesses that are set up around here.
Certainly,
that's incredible.
Yes.
All right, so let's get into some leadership topics. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about leadership because it's so near and dear to you as you're leading a team, probably even leading the school to an extent. There's people looking at you as a leader in the student body, but you also have a family and grandkids. So I'm just excited to hear a little bit about the leadership perspective that you bring. And so when you think about effective leadership, like something that's helpful to people, what do you think about? Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. I think, for a while there, I would talk about like sacrificial service and I've heard people talk about sacrificing in leadership, but I've looked at it more lately like investing. It's more investing in people. It's more of a giving of yourself, but wanting to see things grow in people. There's as a consistency in service to people. Leadership is so many different things. I mean, there's so many books, there's so many podcasts about leadership, but when it comes down to it, to me, it's relationship, it's serving, it's influence, and it's just caring about people. And so we're trying to do that on a basketball team, trying to do that on campus, just trying to be effective in communicating with people, being consistent. I saw a phrase the other day said a leader's first task is to define reality. And so for me as a coach, I think it's really important for me to look at the way things are and have a realistic view of where are we and where do we need to go. So that's another part lately I've been thinking more about is I got to make sure I know exactly where I am. If we're going to lead, where am I now? Where do we want to go? And so that's a really important part, I think, of leadership as well.
So that reality piece that you're talking about is kind of maybe a locational thing as well. So like where we're at, this is a reality of where we're at. This is a reality where we're going.
Yeah.
Like this, and then this is the course correct or how we need to get there.
And the thing with for coaching, every year you have a new team, so you have to have a new beginning of where are we, where we're going to go.
Yeah.
It's not hey, 20 years ago and now we're here. In some ways, the program has changed and grown, and the school has grown. But for me, every year with a team, you have to always begin again. So it's always starting over, redefining reality, redefining our course. Where can we go? So it's sort of a nebulous thing. It's not always a consistent path. At the end of a year, you have to restart.
How many people do you lose a year, and then what does that turnover look like?
Yeah, that's really like last season. Going into last season, we only had one freshman. So we were returning 13 out of 14 players. So in that case, it wasn't a whole lot of change. This year, we have 7 freshmen coming.
Wow.
So we graduated 5 seniors.
Okay.
And then lost another girl who wasn't going to be able to play due to medical reasons. So we lost 6 players, gained 7 new freshmen. So it's a really major change in where are we going to go.
How many people are you coaching at once generally on the team?
Yeah, we have 15 on the team. So yeah, it's usually 13 to 15.
You're half. I mean, you're losing half, and that changes the culture. What do you see change that you have to rebuild year to year?
Yeah, really the foundation is very strong because the players, when they come, they know what they're going into. They're very hardworking, very sacrificial. We want to get kids that understand where they're going. They're going to a Christian school. So they want to understand faith, want to understand basketball is important, but it's not the biggest deal. I mean, honestly, my recruiting phrase, this may not sound very attractive, but to all our players is you're not that important.
Okay.
So we want kids, and understanding that doesn't mean you're not important.
Sure.
It just means you're not that important, because when you come here, everything we're going to do is going to depend on the team. I'm not going to make decisions for one kid or even for one coach. I mean, I've got to do what's best for everybody, and myself included. And so those decisions, I want them to understand what they're coming to. So that foundation of team first, hard work, good choices, on and off the court, we want them to understand the standards before they come. And so even with maybe 7 new players, the 8 returners, they have that basis. And so hopefully they will be the ones that are going to propagate the culture, as opposed to us having to teach every one of the 7 players what to do. And so that's a big part of it, is just finding kids that want to be in that environment. I think all of us, as individuals, we want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Yeah. And I think everybody deep down wants discipline. They want to sacrifice themselves for others. It's countercultural in a way, but really at the root, I think all of us want that. And so we're just trying to find kids that are mature enough at this age to know that's what they want.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about that, the phrase, you're not that important. When you have a potential recruit coming in and you're telling them this, do you see a response? Like, can you feel an energy shift or anything like that? Is it good? Is it bad? What do you feel like that is received?
Just a case study in that. Grace Foster, she just graduated this year. She's a 3-time All-American for us. Out of high school, and we want to, we're Division II, NCAA Division II school, and we recruit kids. We want to recruit kids that can play at any level. So some of these kids are D1 talent. You know what that means? It's someone that's being recruited by Division I schools. But some kids are just looking for a certain environment. And I think when we told her that, it was refreshing to her to realize they're not going to do everything for me.
Yeah.
And they're not even trying to tell me what I want to hear. We want kids, I don't want anybody to end up at LCU and 5-6 months in, they're like, this isn't what I thought it was. We want them to know early on, this is how it's going to be. And so most of the time, I do think most of the girls we talk to, they like that.
Yeah.
They don't want to be propped up and promoted above everybody else. They want to blend in, and be part of a group. And so, again, understanding that they are vital. I mean, I love our girls, and they're very, very important as people. But we're not gonna sacrifice our team for one girl to make her happy.
Sure.
And I think most girls like that.
Yeah. I think what you said, you had already kind of answered the question that was in my head of like, man, how is that received by people looking into being a part of a group when you say that you're not that important? But you talked about it a little bit when you said that we all like discipline. I mean, a part of us actually longs for that. And I think that's so true, even as I'm thinking about my kids. As much as they hate it, I think if they didn't have it, how much they would desire it. Right.
Certainly.
If it wasn't there all the time, to have structure, have routine, have expectations, have all these things. We strive on that. I mean, I think we all do.
And I think later on, they'll appreciate it more than they do at the moment. And we even have girls that maybe there's some give and take, and eventually they realize that is what I want. And 5, 8, 10 years down the road, they are so thankful for the experience they had with the team, and with the discipline and with the structure. And so, I think all of us, we have that spirit. I think in Psalms it says, God, he placed our boundary lines in pleasant places. I think all of us want boundary lines. And then I think real freedom doesn't come until you know what the ends of my boundaries are.
Yeah.
Then you can be free in your boundaries. And so I think that's sort of, everybody wants that.
Yeah. Counterintuitive for sure. You said that. Yeah. I mean, it just is like, seems a little backwards, but it makes sense. Yeah. Another thing that I love that you're talking about is, as you're saying that, you're keeping, let's say 7 or 8 girls, and then you got a turnover of a new 7 or 8. One thing that that I'm sure that you're doing, and maybe think about, maybe not, but that the leaders that you're building with the players who are currently on the team, because they may not be leaders yet, but they will be, you
Right.
know, and even if they're a returner, maybe they're a junior, you know, and you're still developing them to get to that senior level,
Right.
where they're becoming more and more of a leader. So I love that aspect of, even while you're playing basketball, you're building girls who are going to be leaders, but not only of this team, but eventually of whatever circle they end up in
Certainly.
life.
Yeah, that's vital. I think there was a book a while back. It was a sports book. I think it was called A Leader in Every Locker, or maybe it was just a phrase. But thinking about, everybody in your locker room has to have some leadership in some way. I also think it's wise for us to learn how to be a follower. I think there needs to be more teaching on how to follow well.
Right.
I mean, if you have a leader in every locker, well, then who's following? But every player on a team has a role, and that's a vital part of a team, is knowing your role and playing it well. But leadership, it's everybody's got to own their own leadership in some way and bring value to the team. And then that time eventually comes, like you're saying, junior, senior year, it's time to really be forceful in your leadership and know when to step out and know when to step back.
Yeah.
A big part of leadership is knowing when just to shut up.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes
You're just taking a step back.
yeah, and we've had some tremendous leaders that aren't the vocal leader, but they're the example leader, and that's their personality. But that needs to be honored.
Yeah. So flipping this a little bit, because you said sometimes we just need to know how to be a good follower. As a leader yourself, running a basketball team, and do you feel like you're ever in positions where you're a follower? Or need to be a follower? Not even necessarily on the basketball level. Maybe it is, but what does following look like for Steve?
Certainly. I mean, I just think that ability to realize I don't know what's best in all the situations. Sometimes I'm surprised at how many people want to come and ask coaching advice, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I want to have an idea what I do with my team, but I can't really help people with other teams. But just being a follower, I think, is having the ability to know, here's what I do good, here's what I don't do good. I mean, for example, my wife is tremendous at organization. She's really detailed and organized. There's sometimes in planning things, I need to let her lead in the planning of things. Even my assistant coaches, sometimes they're really good at certain things, position work with post or guards or scouting. Sometimes it's better, hey, what's your idea? And let's use that instead of me thinking I always have the best idea.
Yeah.
In a church, in a congregation, you have to learn to know when to follow, when to lead. I just think that give and take it's fun sometimes not to be the one in charge.
Yeah.
It's
actually
sort of
rejuvenating.
freeing. We went on a big family trip. It was awesome. We went to Washington, D.C. and New York, and it was planned for 6-8 months with my kids and my boys, their wives, and my wife. And I had no idea what was going on. I went on the trip, and every day I was like, what are we doing? And I loved it.
A new adventure.
And so sometimes following can be freeing and really rejuvenating because there's not the pressure of I've got to make the decision.
Yeah.
Even going assistant coach to head coach, there's always people talk about that shift of one seat over is a major sea change in how things happen. And I experienced that. I was an assistant coach for Vic Self at Monterey, and then becoming a head coach, wow, this is different. Following, I hope it's just a humility to understand I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
There's times our players have better answers than I do. I've got to be willing to say, that's a great idea.
Right. And be receptive to it,
Yeah.
to even listening for it
Yeah.
whenever you're presenting something. And
certainly.
It's okay that you don't have all the right answers or you don't know everything.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to feel like I have to have the answers.
Yeah. I love that. Being able to know when to lead, when to follow, and just it's okay to almost have a gear shift here. All right, drive, park, or neutral, or reverse sometimes. Back up.
Yeah, exactly. We'll start over and let you take over this time.
That's right. Yeah. That's right, man. And then one more thing, circling back to the girls and the turnover, and having this. You mentioned culture too, and I love the idea that when you create a foundation, you can look at it one of two ways. One, you've got somebody coming in, and what are they going to do to our culture? Like just that fear of like, what, how's our culture going to change whenever that individual comes? But the way that I've been seeing it lately is, how's our culture going to change them? And it's, I want what we have here to be viral.
Yes.
And to be positive.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes in, I'm not so worried about how they're going to change us. Will they? Probably a little bit, right? But I hope that our wave is so strong that we're just starting to wash over people in a good way.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, you said you started with 2 people, you and your partner, and now you have 34 people. I mean, obviously it just has a feel here that things are very positive, a very good feel. So you've obviously done that with a lot of new people.
Yeah.
Your environment has remained strong and successful. So somehow y'all are finding the right people. For us, it's, I can't ever imagine telling our current team, hey, this player is going to be on our team next year. And they're like, who is this? The biggest thing for us is getting a recruit around our players and making sure our players give yes, we want that kid on our team.
Wow.
And this year with 7 new ones, we've had a lot of people come. We've had a lot of really good players that may have come, and it's like our team's like not quite certain that they're our person. And there may be a great player, a great person, but it may not be the right fit. And we've got to be wise enough and bold enough to say, okay, then we need to do something different. We got to make sure we keep what we have in that locker room and not compromise it. So that there's a big challenge there, but we have to decide we want to be a transformational school where people come here and are transformed. We don't want to have to adjust to, all right, now we've got to start acting this way. We want to be the same. Yeah. I think consistency is one of the biggest things of leadership, the biggest factors of steady quality leadership is a consistency where things aren't changing all the time. I think people want to see someone that in the highs and lows are going to be consistent. To me, that's being consistent with the type of people we have too. And so we'll adjust how we play according to who we have, but we're not going to adjust who we get to play a certain way.
Okay.
And so there's a phrase, the person with the big question behind it all is, why are we doing what we're doing? And so I do a little PowerPoint presentation that says the person with the why needs the who's who know how to do what we want to do. And so the who is the most important. We've got to get the right who's, the right people.
Yeah.
And after that, then we'll figure out how are we going to play. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, can you repeat that line about the whys and the who and
the person that has the why, which should be the leader. The leader should have the why.
Okay.
Need the who's who know how.
Okay.
To do whatever it is that we're going to do.
Yeah.
But so to me, it sort of all revolves around the people. It's the who.
Yeah.
And if you don't have who's that understand your why, then it's sort of going to be a mess.
Yeah. So you need the hows. I mean, I feel like you could it's, you create this chain and this almost like ecosystem of how we're going to get this done.
Yes.
And you might have a leader that's got the why, but they've got to be able to not just carry that thing out, but they've got to be able to help people understand their role in that whole vision.
What are we? It's the what's and the hows and the whens.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the right people, that stuff's going to all get messed up.
Yeah. Okay. So say you've got 5-star, just amazing potential recruit. And this is going to be a game changer for you guys because of her talent. Mm-hmm. But culture fit, we're not sure. Actually, a little bit more hesitant. Yeah. You're saying you're willing to say, we're going to pass.
Certainly,
on this one.
And again, this hasn't always been the case. I've been there 23 years. There were years early on that it sort of took a while to realize that's not a wise move. Mm. It may bring short-term success, but the pain and suffering is going to cause the laying at night in bed like, I want to have a team not only that I can win with, I want to have a team that I can lose with and not struggle. Oh. So But again, these are things that, I've made these mistakes and had, tremendous players that maybe even didn't make it through a whole year just because of it wasn't working. And so those things happen, and we have to be willing to have enough conviction to say, we've got to do it this way.
Yeah.
And even if it means the end result isn't what it was 6 years ago, that's fine. I want to be happy with our team, and I want the team to function healthily and not, winning covers a lot of problems. But again, I don't want to be in a deal where, well, if we're not winning, then we're just going to be a disaster. Mm-hmm. We need to have a team that we can struggle with as well as succeed with.
And you're probably having a lot of success with the people as they get along, right? As the culture improves and increases, like the ways that you overcome challenges are probably much different than when you have a culture that's a little bit shaky.
Certainly. Those relationships, when those kids really like each other, they trust each other. You can deal with stuff. You can communicate. You can handle conflict. But it's just when there's not respect and trust and a relationship that's formed, that connection is huge. And so when you talk about a team with 15 girls on it, there's a lot of individual connections that cross. Everybody's not going to be equally connected, but we need to make sure we all have a mutual care and love for each other. So that takes time.
Yeah.
That takes time. And so we've got to be willing to put in the time.
Yeah. So is there anything that you look back on your career, your time as a coach, this could be high school or as you're in the college world, where you look back and think, man, I wish I would have known this a little bit sooner?
Yeah. I really wish I would have gotten to the why am I really doing this earlier. It took me a lot of years to get past the how are we doing it, the what are we doing it. What are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish? And just jumped over the undergirding why am I even doing this? And so that is a big thing. I think just learning to be consistent through the process and not too reactionary, having more of a process-oriented mindset instead of always trying to fix. You can always try to find a new thing to do here, a new thing to do there, but just finding those basic things and just being steady with them. As a young coach, sometimes you're not even sure what's going on. You're learning. And so had great mentors with Vic Self at Monterey. Just having Coach Copeland at LCU as a guys coach, he was a real consistent guy. Didn't get too high, didn't get too low. And so those examples really paid off for me. Still learning, just realizing the fact that there's lots of ways to do it. There's not only one right way to play the game. It took a while. Sometimes you think I always say, tell people there is one. Jesus is the one way. After that, there's lots of other ways to do things in life in terms of business, sports. So there's not only one way to play the game. We got to do what's best for our team and not try to force a team to do something they're not good at.
Yeah.
Those things took a while too. Instead of thinking, just trying to hammer a square peg in a round hole and make this team do this. It's like, what can they do well? And let's do that instead of trying to make them do something I want to do.
Yeah.
That took time for me to learn. Those adjusting to your people took a while.
So you're finding like unique value, unique ability in that group of people, and then coaching to that strength.
Right.
Versus saying, hey, this is going to be, come in day one, say this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And my way or the highway.
Right.
Instead taking the approach of let's look at the superpower of the team.
Right.
And play into that.
That's vital to do that, especially the strategic part of it. Some things are non-negotiable of how we're going to act. Who are we going to be? But in terms of how are we going to play, it's sort of fun. This is going to be a year we're going to play way different than we did last year. To me, it's like exciting to find out what can we do well, and we want to do it excellent, but it's going to be different than what excellent looked like a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And so what shifted when you went from this idea of how am I coaching and what are we doing to the why am I doing this? What shifted in you?
Yeah. I think I read this. I think it's in a book about Plato said the whole task of philosophy is to have a mindfulness of death. Everything. And so there was a number of years ago, we took the team before the season started, went out to Rest Haven Cemetery, and just up there, there's a hill, there's tombs. I mean, there's graves, but there's the open tomb up there. I don't know, out here in Lubbock on 19th Street. But we just met before school started, the Sunday before school started out there. And I just want them to think, not too long from now, you're all going to be in one of these, you're going to be in the ground. And let's have the end in mind. I think Stephen Covey in his book talked about have the end in mind. And just the older you get, the more mindful you are of we're going to die.
The reality sets
the
in.
reality of death. And so I think as I got older, I started realizing, sports, they're awesome, but there's a lot bigger thing out there in life, and we're not going to be around forever. But just having that perspective allows you maybe to have a clearer vision of today instead of just feeling like everything's eternal, it's just going to keep on going. And so the value of the temporary loses some of its luster when you think about the big picture. And so I think the older I got, the older I'm getting, it's like that there's an end coming. So how are we going to live now? So the mindfulness of death, even thinking back to even my younger years, I had a couple near-death experiences. In college, I had meningeal encephalitis, a mosquito bite. I almost died in the hospital.
No way.
I was driving one time down a street here in Lubbock, and a car I stopped just in time. I would have been a sudden death. I've had like 3 near-death experiences, and when I look back, I'm like, those type of things sort of shock you into reality a little bit.
Yeah.
And anyways, maybe that has changed my internal focus to more of a big picture focus for the team.
I've always thought I need to go to more funerals because every time I go to one, it just puts so much of life into perspective. Yeah. And I think, man, I just want to go live a little bit differently after I leave here. So I think that's a great philosophy to kind of look at that and be mindful of.
Yeah. There were some seasons where games would get so, on game day, you're sort of wound up. I would go to an emergency room or go to a cemetery and just sit for maybe 20, 30 minutes during the day before the game just to sort of remember, we've got a game tonight, but these people are dealing with something a lot more important than, so it's sort of, it doesn't decrease the importance of the game, but it frames it a little better.
Man. Now I'm thinking of like some tough transactions. I might need to go sit somewhere else and get some perspective. It's still, I still get frustrated with the refs, and I get mad when they turn the ball over. And but I want to keep reminding myself. We just need more reminders, and so I haven't figured it out, but I'm trying to find ways to help myself focus better. I always need that little urge, that little boost,
Yes.
reorientation a little bit. And one thing that you keep saying over and over again, and I've heard it in the way you talk about, consistency that you've watched from other people, when you've also talked about the consistency on your team. You've also talked, consistency just seems to be a really big theme of yours. It's in your language. I think even when I asked you up front, you said consistency in service. And I love that. That's probably one of the things that I get really most passionate about is what does it look like to be consistent instead of just having a radical just urge and movement and push, right? It just like, I think this consistency is going to beat out the intensity every day of the week. And I hear that in your language. Is that true? Is that?
And probably through the years, it's one of those as a young coach, I was so reactionary and you get so emotional about things. And, there's times, at the end of the day, you're like, man, I sort of lost my mind for a few minutes in whatever situation, a practice, a game. But I think it's really important. If I want my team, if I want my players to play steady, if I want them to be able to handle ups and downs and not, have parades and funerals every 3 minutes, then I can't be that way. I need to be an example of how I want them to perform. And so just to try to be steady, come to practice every day, not be over emotional one day and then detached the next day and mad one day and laughing, and they're like, who's coming today? Which coach is coming down
Yeah.
today? I want to be as consistent, same message, and handle things the same way all year long, and not be too, up and down and too extreme. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, emotion. Some people, you think of a Jim Valvano or some of these coaches they're so passionate. It's just in their spirit.
Yeah.
And for them, consistency is being that.
Is it in the passion?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
in the extremes.
Yeah.
They're consistently extreme. And that's great.
You know what you're going to get.
That's their gift. Yes. Just for me, I want to try to experience some calmness for our team, so they're not stressed out because I'm stressed out.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think you can apply that to coaching. You can apply it to business leadership, and especially being a parent.
Yeah,
right,
very good.
that your kids can kind of understand.
Yeah.
Hey, he's consistently gonna gonna discipline me,
Right.
versus sometimes I don't know what I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
The difficulty behind that too,
Yeah.
and going from extreme to extreme.
Certainly.
So
Yeah,
That's
good. Over the course of time, the only way you get better at something is to do it over and over and over
Yeah.
and over again. It's sort of boring. I mean, success is boring, really, when it comes down to it.
it is.
It's
Yeah.
the habits that just,
Monotonous.
and then it becomes just the way it is, and you don't realize all the little steps it took to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw you in a book,
Yeah.
Atomic Habits. I saw on your table that I thought it's those tiny things over
right.
and over.
Yeah, and then stacking, something
day
a
after
little
day.
bit on top of that, and
Mm-hmm.
well, because I want to get into your book, but before we do, I want to know: is there anything you're learning right now that you're just excited about, or is you're in the process of reading or listening to on a podcast? What's coming to mind these days?
Yeah, I think more and more. My son got me this book for Christmas. Great, really another good book. It says, "I bet you think this book is about you." And Chad Veach wrote it. It's that old Carly Simon song. I bet you think this song is about you. And just again, that concept of humility is constantly one that's challenging me. And again, humility is not. It's just being realistic of who you are. Know what your strengths are and do them, and know what your weaknesses are, and have other people help you with those.
Yeah.
That concept to me is, I don't know if it's ever fully learned. It's constantly a growth process for me personally, for my team. Find out what are our strengths, use them. What are our weaknesses, avoid them, or strengthen them to where they become stronger. But also just realizing, to me, that Job 38 mindset of Job had all these questions for God, thought he knew everything. He's challenging God. His friends are telling him, you shouldn't be suffering like this. And finally, God speaks to Job out of the cloud and says, who is this that darkens my counsel? Who speaks without knowledge? And remember, after all God said to Job, Job finally says, he just had nothing to say.
Yeah.
He was just constantly realizing, I'm not that big a deal. I mean, we have to convince ourselves you're not that important.
Yeah.
To me, at my age, I'm 58. I've still got to learn that. I mean, this is awesome, getting to talk, but I'm like, Leadership Lubbock, I coach basketball. I'm not changing society. What I do, I coach sports, and sports aren't that big a deal. We've made them huge. I mean, we've made them out of kilter. I think we can use them for good things, but just for me to remember, I hope I can, invest in people, be a good example, encourage people, relate to people. But in the end, it's not like, man, God has put me in incredible places. Timing is everything. Something I'm continuing to learn. Another challenge is the timing of things is out of our control. And so we sometimes need to realize I had nothing to do with that. I was in the right place at the right time. I got my first job out of sheer fortune, God's providence. I was born to two great parents, not by my choice.
Oh, yeah.
We live in, I was born in this country. Well, what could have gone different?
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of my wisdom or my discipline. A lot of these were my, thank godness, fortune.
Yeah.
So I guess, again, the older I get, I'm still trying to learn that, because it's easy to look back and see, man, but really good things happen. But again, it's not because look what I did. It's people always say when bad things happen, why did that happen? I think we need to ask God, why did this good thing happen? Why do good things happen to bad people?
Yeah. Why do we have grace? Why do
why do bad things happen to good people? We need to think.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't know if I rambled there or not.
No, that is good. I like the perspective that you have. The perspective that you have on even our fragility as human beings, right? And being mindful of death. I like even this idea of the humility piece, and you're not that important. I mean, these are great perspectives that I think the world just has a different. I mean, it's a fight against the world because the world wants us to believe it's about us, right? And I just feel like everywhere you look, it's just, how do I glorify myself? How do I make myself larger, taller, bigger in my life, but in the lives of other people too? And yet, the perspective that you're bringing here just challenges all of that and saying like, it's not about that, right? Or that's not the end of it all.
Yeah. I always think we need to take what we do really seriously. But we can't take ourselves so seriously. I think sometimes we just take ourselves too serious. Like, and we're screw ups. We are just a bunch of screw ups. Yeah. So enjoy. I mean, let's laugh and have fun, and
let's make our best of it. Right?
Yeah, make the best of our screw upness.
Well, that's good perspective. Thanks, man. Well, let's get into this book because I asked you for one book, and when I did, you threw out a few different titles. So I know you're a reader. I could tell that there's things that have impacted you, but I'm fascinated to get into this one because I hadn't even heard about it yet. But it's called "When the Game is Over, It All Goes Back in the Box." So tell me a little bit about the book and why that's one that means something to you.
Yeah, a really neat author. He's written a number of different books, and John Ortberg. But this one phrase sort of in the introduction is talking about the game of chess, and it said king and pawn alike all go back in the bag. At the end of the game, you have a bag of chess pieces. The king and the pawn, they're all just in the bag. And it sort of starts out with him talking about his grandmother playing Monopoly growing up and how she always, she would win. She would always, any game she played, she wanted to win. She was trying to teach them, what it means to win and what it means to lose. Sometimes we always let somebody win, but that's not always helpful.
Yeah.
But anyways, finally, when he beat his grandmother, he realized after that great feeling of winning, he wanted that board to stay there forever, but everything just went back in the box. So when the game's over, it all goes back in the box. And that concept of, in light, again, of eternity we were talking about is, we're called to do all we can do. But really, when it comes down to it, we're all going into that box. We're going to all end up in a box. It talks about the passing of time, how we live day to day in a cat. There's a really neat illustration about how we live from square to square. One day we're going to come to a square on that calendar and it doesn't open to the next day. One of these days is going to be our last square. You never know when. None of us know what that day is. Just that concept of again being aware of who we are, what we are, what God made us to be, and just a lot of neat illustrations throughout that book of dealing with relationships, people, and just remember what's really important. What is lasting? Being rich towards God, being rich towards people. He talks about the parable of the man who built his barns and he wanted to expand his barns. He had his crops. He wanted to grow it farther and farther. But then that night his life was demanded of him. And he didn't realize all his planning was over. And so, but he was only thinking about, what can I do? How can I expand my land, my barns, my crop? He wasn't thinking of others.
Yeah.
And it all went for nothing. So he talks in that book about real richness is richness towards God and richness towards people. And instead of being, thinking about riches in the way we think of them, of temporary riches, those eternal riches. And there's a lot of really neat allusions or allegories in that book of what it means to live knowing when the game is over. We're in the game, but the game's going to end. And all this stuff is just going to go in the box.
Right. We're all going back in there together.
And it's so easy. in our blessed society to get wrapped up in our security and other things.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And so, again, being called to excellence, I think God calls us to do everything we can to do the best with the gifts He's given us. Talents, don't hide them, use them.
Mm-hmm.
Even for us as a coaching female, sometimes it's a challenge to get the girls to realize how good they are. Man, you're good. We need you to stand out, be the star. So sometimes people are hesitant to step out and be a star. The team needs you to be the star.
Yeah.
Be it. And everybody's going to support you in that. Right now, maybe it may be 2 years from now, you're going to be the star. Right now, we need you to be this. But whatever it is, fulfill with excellence what you were called to do, and don't hide it.
Yeah.
Don't hold back. Go for it with gusto, and then we'll deal with the consequences, but go for it.
Yeah. Make the most of right
what you
now
got
in this moment.
And I think, God wants that from us.
Yeah.
And He'll take care of us.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And good, again, perspective. It's all about the perspective. And I love that theme throughout this. And as we conclude, love to wrap up with one question. It's my favorite one, but if you could define leadership in a single sentence, like kind of sum it all down, sift it down to one thing. What does that look like? Yeah.
That's I've thought of that a lot. I think it's just I think of Philippians, this passage in Philippians, and it's sort of a long scripture. I'll give you the one sentence after I give you this. It says, "Don't do anything out of selfishness or conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not to your own interest, but the interest of others." And he goes on in Philippians 2 to say, "Your attitude should be the same as that of Jesus, who, being in very nature God, didn't consider equality with God something to be grasped or held on to, but he made himself nothing, and he took the nature of a servant." To me, that concept of Jesus knowing who he was. So here's how in my one sentence, I say this a lot. If you only look out for number one, you're going to step in number two. So to me, leadership is is relating to others, caring for others, giving yourself up for the betterment of other people, which in the long run is for the best of you too. And so again, it goes back to that when I started with like investing, sacrificing, caring, and through relationship. It's got to be through relationship. Yeah. Because if there's not a connection, you can lead from a distance and have some influence, but real leadership doesn't come until you're having a connection with people. So,
man,
I don't know if that's sort of, that was more than a sentence. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I think we can pick any one of those out and it would work. But I love the idea that you're talking about Jesus and his life on earth and what he took and what he gave really to all of us, the sacrifice that he made. Is true leadership, right? That's he had followers, but just his action and what he did, just the way that we have a desire to follow.
Certainly
Now. And years and thousands of years later.
Yeah, and he had those guys. I mean, and he was very relational, and he was with that. He had an inner circle. He had those 12. He had people, so that all those different layers are so important to remember. We got to have some close ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's such a great example. I haven't done this in a few years, but if a girl won't dive on the floor for that ball over there that's rolling, I say, well, Jesus carried his cross. Can't you dive on the floor for that ball? I mean, it sort of puts things in a better perspective.
Yeah, so. It does. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here today. I mean, I loved having a conversation that one came from a place of vulnerability, and I feel like even just service. I mean, honestly, I could tell the way you live your life is not for Coach Gomez's glory, right? It just seems like it's more about the why. Why are we doing this? And it's something beyond self. So definitely. I love that about you, and thanks for being that for the girls on that basketball team, but honestly, I think it goes so much further than that. And just the fact that you would come on, and my hope in this podcast is not to be glorified either, but it's to highlight other people, because I know our stories somehow all, we can relate, and we can, man, I'm in that same boat, or hadn't thought about that perspective. And I think we can all learn from each other. And that was my hope from this. And I think you brought a lot of insight to that today.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a neat sort of a tapestry of people all across Lubbock that make it work. And it's fun to be a part of it. I appreciate it, Ruben.
Yeah.
Really neat what you're doing.
Absolutely. And the fact that you get to even kind of walk alongside Coach Duncan, is really neat. He's
what a good man. For years when I was coaching at Cooper, I mean, he was a great example and influence on me back then. So it's fun to work with him now.
Yeah. Well, I got to have him, sitting in that chair too.
Yeah.
And he was, when you talk about consistency, that's somebody that comes to my mind.
Yes.
Like consistent individual. And I think one that makes a huge impact, not because of a big, like, boom, here it is message, but one of just like, get to be around the guy.
Certainly.
And when you think about the consistent leaders, like, they're the ones that make a big impact.
People with a work ethic, he has been a great example of just hard work from a high school kid till today. I mean, he always is working. He's just a hard worker.
Yeah.
Really a good example.
Well, that's great. No, I'm glad you guys are doing this side by side. It's a good team.
It's fun.
For sure.
It really is neat.
Well, thanks again for coming on today.
Certainly.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
and
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope we get to sit down again sometime soon.
Certainly. Enjoy your family.
All right.
Thanks, Ruben.
Yeah, thank you.